Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I'm joined by Dana.
Hello.
We're closing in on the end of Dawson's Creek Season 3 tonight. I will roll the credits and we'll jump right into it. That was a very abrupt opening. I didn't say what we were watching. Episodes 21 and 22 of Season 3.
Oh, well, if they've been
It felt
watching,
shorter than
they would
usual. I was like, I didn't say things.
I would just say, if you've been watching this long, you know where we're at.
Yeah, you've committed to us and to the show.
We just, you know.
You know what we're doing. So, wow, I am just not prepared tonight. I keep thinking I'm ready and I have nothing open.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, we're just creeping up onto the season finale, which is crazy considering everything that's already happened up until this point.
Don't you feel like it took us forever to get through 18 episodes of My So-Called Life, but we just went through 22 episodes?
Yeah, because my so-called life was boring.
It was not. I liked it. I was actually thinking today I would rewatch it at some point.
Ah! It's just I felt like maybe it's because my high school experience wasn't the super ideal. So reliving it through the same kind of lens feels so oh God, she's the worst.
Okay.
But well, and of course with Dawson's Creek, it's just drama, 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 wall to wall. Like things are happening left and right. So it feels like it's moving like that exponentially faster. And a lot has happened. If you think about it, in the last season, we've gone from Pacey to could barely handle Joey being around her, them being around each other, to fast forward. 20
Deeply in
20
love.
something else 22 episodes later, and they're making out, and if you watch those episode 2 and episode 22 back to back, you'd be like, what happened?
Right. Well, episode 21 is titled Show Me Love. And I will pull up the promo and then we'll get into that. We'll talk about the
God, I
episode.
love these promos. They are just wild.
Can I play this? Yes, I
There
can.
he goes.
They grew up the best of friends until true love came between them.
If it weren't for Dawson, would you ever love me like that?
Please don't make me choose this. Don't make me choose.
You call this woman your soulmate?
Yes, I do, and you knew that, and you went after her anyway.
No one thought it would go this far.
How are these guys doing? You're gonna have to back off. I'm not getting out of his way. Give us room! Dawson! Run him into the dock.
An all-new Dawson's Creek.
See, this is a good promo. That's a good promo. It doesn't tell you everything, but it really hooks you into the main things that actually happen. The stuff that's
That actually made the episode seem more interesting than it was. I actually hate this episode.
oh, really?
I was dreading us getting to this episode.
Oh, okay.
Because I know what happens in episode 22 and the finale, and it just felt like this one thing we got to do before we get there.
You're can we just fast forward through this episode, please? Thank you.
Although I did enjoy it more this time around.
Okay.
But Dawson was pissed me off.
Yeah. I mean, this whole episode is really wild for a lot of reasons. That it's just, again, the writers love to bag on Pacey. Every chance they get, they're just putting him through the ringer. Everybody is so messed up towards him, and I hate that. It's just so again.
Hey, even Dawson's parents were like, I mean, I know that's their son, but come
Yeah.
on.
Well, sometimes it feels like there's moments where you're you've known this kid just as long, if not some of them could maybe, if not longer than knowing Dawson. So it's kind of why are we automatically on Dawson's side? They didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
Joey and Dawson weren't together, and Andy and Pacey were not together. They
Right.
fell in love. Is that really the biggest crime? Maybe they didn't tell people right away, but at the same time, that's kind of crazy to have all this drama around something that I think is pretty the dumbest thing to be rolling ruining relationships over. Ugh,
So Dawson is open to a friendship that could lead to more with Joey, but
yeah.
he's like done with Pacey. Like Pacey's dead to him. And Joey's not like feeling great about that because she's just like, well, I didn't that makes me feel like shit because I'm the reason that you guys are not
Yeah.
friends now.
Well, it's basically like, let's shun Pacey together. And she's like, nah, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to shun Pacey. Like, it's not fair. Like, the way everybody was treating him through this whole thing is so incredibly unfair. All led
Like,
by Dawson.
and she could say that, but it's like she has to walk on eggshells, and it's like, how dare she be seen talking to Pacey?
Yeah,
Because then
right.
it's like a betrayal again. Like, ugh, I was so angry at him
Yeah.
to walk
No, I
through.
think yeah, Dawson was doing Dawson's thing this episode. Like he was being the most and so incredibly like one-sided and like very selfishly centered because it's like again, it's like how Joe what Joey is to him and how
Mhm.
dare everyone else try to take and not take into account at all how either his best friend and his soulmate currently feel. Like he
Right.
doesn't even consider their feelings in this at all. He doesn't even believe that him and Pace, like Joey and Pacey, could have a relationship. He's like, "Oh, you guys just kissed, whatever." But like that means nothing. And it's like, how dare you say that? You don't know how they feel, and how would you know?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, no, believe me, I was on the same page.
I was happy that Jen was not getting blamed for this.
Yeah,
I was very, very happy about that because
yeah,
I didn't remember if people turned on her about this.
yeah. She's dealing with her own problems though.
So, since she basically told Henry to go home because he was trying to have sex with her instead of, like, listening to her freak out that she accidentally told Dawson
Yeah,
about Pacey and Joey,
yeah.
so they're not on speaking terms, and he's just, like, standing in windows with signs begging for
Like,
forgiveness.
love actually he
Yeah,
her.
at home, at the restaurant. At one point,
Oh,
Gail's like, "You gotta do something because he's scaring off customers, and this is
yeah,
a
yeah. Oh
for us."
god. Absolutely insane. Like just unhinged.
Um, I think we opened the episode with, no, that might be the next one. The
Mhm.
kissing,
Uh,
that was the next one.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so pause that. Um,
Pin in.
yeah. So Leary's Fresh Fish had already agreed to sponsor Pacey's boat in some boat race that's happening. I don't know what this is, this
It's a
boat race thing, but
regatta.
it's
There's a
really
regatta. Yeah.
it's really big for the town and the businesses, and they're a new business, so they're trying to get their name out there. Um, so Dawson decides to enter, and he asks Jack if he could use his dad's boat that his dad only uses on Memorial Day and Labor Day.
And he also isn't 100% sure on how to you like move, sail. He doesn't know how to
Right.
sail
He,
100%.
like, almost, like, gave Jack a concussion.
Yeah, and his motives are not pure.
No.
Like, the whole point of him joining the regatta are literally just to put himself in the best, like, light, how he thinks Joey will what would Joey would like,
Uh-huh.
and, forcibly, by the way, which she was like, "No, please don't.
Well,
Don't do."
he ended up sponsoring the Potter, bed and breakfast
Yeah,
and paying for the sponsorship.
yeah,
Usually it's the other way around.
yeah.
So that they could, yeah. I laughed because Betsy, I guess they were by the sign up sheet or whatever, and Joey was supposed to be like making pancakes.
Mhm.
And I
Yep,
had the thought, I was like, well, isn't Bodhi's pancakes the ones that's the selling point, not
yeah,
Joey's?
right. Not Joey's. Well, I guess Bodhi couldn't show up to make pancakes.
He's
That
probably at the actual bed
yeah.
and breakfast.
Uh, yeah, that their interactions, Joey and, Bessie's interactions were amazing in these
Mhm.
episodes. Like, she was basically telling her sister, like, "Well, you've been giving me shit advice, like, this entire time, and you're bad at it. Like, you're just bad at giving advice." And but then she keeps asking her to give and you're like, "Stop taking this woman's advice." And then, of course, Bessie is, like, partially Like, she wants the advertisement for the bed and breakfast, but she's also meddling a little bit. She's trying to get, I guess, Joey to and Dawson to, like, forgive each other, or, like, Dawson was already is ready to forgive her, but, like, Joey just doesn't wanna, like, be friends with him.
Dawson
It
has, like, this sense of, like,
shouldn't be.
ownership over Joey.
Yeah, yeah, I
It's
hate that about him.
yeah. You're like, "Yeah, that's the worst part."
It's one of the like, the way he has this it's weird because she has this, like, sense of morality that's kind of like nunnery in a way, like, it's very pure and, like, you don't do bad things, and it's very, like, black and white, but then
Mhm,
he has this way of, like, almost, like, observing the world as only in relation to him, which is,
mhm,
like, kind of very typical for someone in his demographic, you know? So,
yeah,
like, it's just and he just doesn't seem to, like, see Joey as a person that has feelings of her own or thoughts or feelings of her own, and she keeps trying to tell him what they are, and he's just kinda like, "Ooh, dumb, cute Joey, saying you have thoughts? That's so."
um, so Grams kind of pushes Jen to forgive Henry, and the last straw is kind of him, like, being in the window at the restaurant and Gail being like, you need to get rid of him before
Yeah,
he's distracting the customers. So they make up, but we don't get to see that scene. We just kind of see the aftermath of it.
mhm,
Um, they go up on a roof and he set up this whole like rooftop picnic,
yeah.
which was cute. How you feeling about them this week?
Oh, well, see, here the thing is I thought they were over.
Oh, for
But,
good.
like well, I thought for good because I know he's not, like, a forever, cast member, so it's like, when is he going to make his exit?
Right.
Um, this felt again, like, I don't know how to feel about it because sometimes I feel like Jen is being a little sensitive, and then other times I feel like, again, he's too young, he doesn't know anything, and she has to basically teach him, and it really puts Jen in a situation of, like, "Do you really need that? Like,
Right.
do you?" Especially when she's, like, not 100%, like, she's learning herself, so it
Mhm.
feels like this is one of those things where it's like it's nice to feel loved, but at the same time, what comes with that love is like a lot of like love mentoring, which who want not everybody wants to be up for that, you know.
Right.
I don't think Jen is either. So like this was a relationship in my mind like doomed for failure over time. She could just enjoy the time, but I think
Mhm.
she's getting way too invested too.
So they end
But
up
season
falling
of 10,
asleep and Jen gets home late and Grams like totally freaks out because she thinks that Jen has fallen back into her bad ways and is
yeah,
like sleeping with Henry.
snap judgment, Graham.
Um, that kind of annoyed me because I'm like, why?
Why are
Do we
we
always
going back there?
why do we have to slut shame Jen
Yeah,
every time? Like, I
yeah.
don't know. I just feel like the whole virginity thing, like once it's gone, who cares? Like, let her fuck whoever she wants.
Right. Well, her okay, so here's the thing, we keep forgetting, like, Grandma is crazy religious, like,
Yeah,
so for her, like, she thinks that she believes in hell probably, so, like, she thinks that the Jen doing this stuff will automatically damn her soul to hell, and she doesn't want that for her granddaughter, so it's like, they truly believe that shit, so it's
but
like
like
her
immediately
knee-jerk reaction.
jumping to that's what happened, and Jen's like clearly trying to tell you that nothing happened.
Right. That's what I mean, like, she jumped the gun, like, she immediately her first reaction was to just go right back into, like, "Oh, you're just sleeping around," like, and it like, she's equating to what Jen did before with like, what was being a normal consensual, like, experience, which are 2 different things, you know what I mean? Like, what Jen was doing before was self-destructive. This is healthy, and if anything, you should be encouraging this behavior that she should, do these things when she's ready, not when she feels pressure to or whatever exactly, like, was motivating her to be promiscuous at the time. So it's kinda like, "Come on, Graham. I thought we grew up from that." You know what I
Right.
mean?
It
But
just It just feels like false conflict because they don't know what to do with Jen, so we're circling back to this old well, like
Oh, yeah, well, as I would say, yeah, maybe because this is supposed to be the season of Jen. Mhm.
yeah.
And they're kinda trying to,
And
like,
it's so played out that that's why it's just, like, resolved,
yeah.
in the same episode.
Oh, yeah,
Like
literally. Well, I think, and again, the way Jen reacted to that was exactly how Jen always reacted to it. It's no different from the first time she
Right.
said some out of pocket stuff like that before. So it's kind of like there was no need for growth. It just was disappointing to see Graham regress
Yeah. It felt
because
like we were going
was
back to
already
the
beyond
reason
it.
why Jen moved out.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So I thought we were beyond this, and I
yes.
think Graham needed another swift kick to go back, like, "Hey, no, 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 we did this already. Move it on. Get
I
on up
did
there."
it was humorous
Mhm.
on its own, the whole her trying to have the sex talk with Jen pretty much, like the safe sex talk. But in context, it was annoying because it was just like,
Yes.
I didn't care for
We
this
did
at
this
all.
already.
Like,
We did this
so
already.
yeah, so Jen's like, nothing happened. She's like, we literally slept together, but we didn't have sex.
Right.
Like,
I did like the line where she was just like, "Now does that change anything about what you wanna say or think or whatever?"
mhm,
And Graham was just like, "No," because she said all these wonderful things about her. She said she's like, "Oh, you grew so much and you are like you have come such a long way from like the last time when you first came here." And she basically apologizing for not like acknowledging that growth and giving her the benefit of the doubt essentially. Um and like the fact that Jen just couldn't let her get away with just that. She's like, "No, I need you to tell you exactly what actually happened, and now I need you to reaffirm that everything you just said to me is still true
right.
because I did exactly what you wanted."
Mhm.
And I love that about Jen as a character. She doesn't let people get away with it. She makes them reaffirm like what exactly like at the end of all this. So she's
Yeah,
clear like on what they're thinking and
because
feeling.
now that the circumstances have changed, has
Yeah.
your opinion changed?
Yeah, like, "Oh, do you am I still just as grown or whatever? Like, is
Yeah,
that all still true?" And it's just kind of like, yeah, and it should be true both ways, unconditionally. That's the thing about parenting and parenthood, is that
right,
in some aspect, like, there has to be an unconditional love regardless of how far that person goes.
right.
And, I mean, especially when you bring a being into the world without their consent, I think you owe them at least that unconditional love, right?
Yeah. So, going back to the boat race,
Crazy.
Pacey was winning, and
Mhm.
Dawson had to be a dick because he's not a sailor, he does not know
Yep.
the rules of the
Nope.
water,
Nope.
and he basically was playing chicken on the water with
Yeah.
Pacey,
Yeah.
and because
He
Pacey
was
knows the
going
rules and he's a sailor,
yeah.
he took himself out of the running of this race so nobody would get hurt.
Right. Well,
People
also
people could have died.
yeah. No, well, not only did he put everyone in danger, right?
Yeah.
He put Jack's dad's boat on the line because
Mm,
damage would have been not for something that Dawson owns. This is
right.
what makes Dawson such a hard. Again, what's up with the main characters of these shows being like literally the worst characters ever?
Pacey was kinda hot though when he was angry and he, like, was
Oh yeah! Oh
I
my
was
god,
like I wanted him to hit Dawson, I was like, "Hit him," even though I know Joey would be like, "Why did you
Pacey
hit
was the
him?"
best throughout all of it, both these episodes. He's only just getting better. But like, so like, but not only that, he was willing to like ram his best friend's boat that he restored himself
Mhm.
over months and months and months. And it's just kind of like, how selfish can one person be in this thing? Like, this whole situation, Dawson has deteriorated down into it's so weird because like through the whole episode, you keep having these like soft moments where he's trying to be soft with Joey and he has that like he's trying to be because like the very soft face and the soft blonde hair. And then you have these other moments when he's going in face to face with Pacey in some way. It's almost like he turns into like this different person.
Yeah.
It's a weird juxtaposition. You're just kind of like, he's a weirdly sociopathic. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. And I just couldn't believe he was willing to go that far because that's what I mean. Like, if he's supposed to be genuinely a good person, he's the one who would have turned away and let Pacey win. Because ultimately, he never won anyway. He got disqualified, and he
Right.
had to have Joey tell him that.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point of
He
all
was like,
that?
"I won," and Joey's like, no, you
No,
didn't."
you didn't. You did not win, and you just did all that drama
Yeah.
for literally nothing.
But even
Nothing.
just the broader statement of "I won," like, I won
Yeah,
Joey, like, the whole
yeah,
ownership vibe that he has.
yeah, yeah.
Like, you were my object, and Pacey touched my object,
You're my
and
toy.
I
You
didn't
were
like
my
that.
thing.
Stop playing with my toy.
Right. Like, we were never all friends. You were my friend,
Yeah,
and Pacey's also my friend. And
yeah.
you guys are not allowed to have feelings. You were characters in my movie, your characters in my script,
Yeah.
your characters in my life. You don't have lives or thoughts or feelings or wants or dreams or anything like that. And they're only an association. Like, I kept thinking like this whole time, like, girl should have just went to France, right? She should have just went to France. If she just went to France, none of this would have happened. Like, things could have been different. She could have had a French boyfriend and he would never know.
Katie Holmes did a good job because I really felt her emotions when she was, like, crying to Pacey, and she was like, "Don't make me choose, like,
Yeah,
I can't."
yeah. This
Uh,
is yeah, this is wild to me. How do you feel about Joey not being able to choose? Because I don't know.
I don't know, cause like, I'm a little biased because I love Pacey.
Yeah,
So
right?
it's like,
So you're like,
I
"Just
don't
choose
know,
Pacey,
like,
better."
I was definitely rooting for them even though I didn't see that it was, like, right there since the beginning,
Mm.
like, that they were writing it this way.
It's proximity. You
Because
put
the
people
promos and
together.
the way they promoted the show from the beginning were
Yeah,
like, I drank the Kool-Aid, like,
yeah.
Dawson and Joey were the couple. What do you mean there
Dawson
were
and
other
Joey.
options? But you said that Dawson and Joey were the couple.
OTP,
Yes,
OTP is what that is supposed to
and that
be, right?
looking back, I don't think I was ever, like, a big fan of Dawson and Joey. I was just fed that they were the couple.
Yeah. Right, right, exactly.
So then I thought, "Oh," I was like, "This'll be cute, Pacey and Joey," but, no, Dawson and Joey are the couple. I
That's
didn't
what
really
it yeah.
It's weird that back then I didn't really see how problematic Dawson was.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is that sometimes those kinds of guys are like they're the ones that'll say like, "Oh no, I'm the nice guy," but in reality, like they're just as bad, if
And
not
I
worse.
know and I know that there are Dawson and Joey fans out there, and if any of them are watching, I'm sorry. It's not my preference, but
Come for me.
sorry that I'm setting all over your couple, but like
No, you can leave Tommy alone. Come for me. I will tell you to your face, Dawson's the worst, and he's not meant to be with Joey. The end. Period. Full stop. Like they're not the right. They're not the right ship. That pairing. I know. I understand their end game, and I know we're supposed to love Dawson, but I do not. He is way too about himself. Like again, everything is revolving around him, but at the same time, like the story also does, in a sense, like pivot around Dawson, like and how his parents interact with him, and how Joey and Pacey are always like orbiting them all the time. But
so we see Joey at the wall that she still has not painted. I don't know what she's doing. This was a
mhm,
rental, like,
mhm, mhm.
and Pacey offers to extend the lease so she could get to work.
He
uh,
did ask a loaded question. It
did
was in
he?
the preview. The one he asked in the preview is like, would you ever love me like you love him?" Basically, and it's like, come
Mm,
on. Like, that's the thing. You're asking a question that she obviously won't be able to answer because, like, she may be in love, like, in some have feelings for you, but she doesn't even know what they are. And to
right.
know what kind of love that would be in the future is crazy. But it's like, again, they're very young and everything's very melodramatic, like, you're supposed to love me forever, like ever and ever and ever and ever. And it's like, no, no, it's not everything's forever and ever and ever. Like, that's the one constant.
The, like, angsty melodrama love that they think Dawson and Joey are, I feel like is the type of love you look back at when you're, like, our age and you're just like, "I was so stupid. Why did I do that?"
It's when you make mistakes, you're like, "Ooh, ooh,
Like, I
ooh."
thought I was in love. I was not. That was not love.
Well, like, that's the thing, it's kind of like a situation of, um, I think Joey has this remembrance, of Dawson that
Mm,
she can't let go of, and the love with like or the feelings for Pacey are new and exciting, and
mhm.
like he's obviously very good at kissing. So like he does the right things to her.
Pacey had a
And
great line when he was fighting with like, arguing with Dawson.
yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't remember what it was
Ah,
verbatim, but it was something about, like, he's like, "Oh, your relationship?" He's like, "That lasted about 2 minutes, and then you guys dropped each other at the first sign of conflict."
yeah, yeah.
I was like,
Well,
"Ooh, got him."
telling it like it is. That's what I mean. Like he's kind of like it's kind of crazy because it's one of those things where it's like Dawson's reality is one thing and like actual reality is another, and now they're like in conflict with each other, and
Mhm.
Dawson can't handle that factor. And like he desperate, and it's what's sad about it is that you could tell he's desperate to be with Joey because of the sheer fact that someone else wants to be with her. And every single time that she's been with kind of with someone, like he's been like that. Like when earlier in the season when she was talking to that AJ guy, like he was flirting with that other girl like the entire day. And
Right.
the minute he hears that she's talking to this other dude, he like literally paused there for like a hot beat and then dropped that other girl like a hot potato. Like
Mhm.
it was just kind of like, it's only okay when it's on Dawson's terms, and it's
Yeah.
never okay on Joey's, and
And
it's ugh,
Pacey called him out on this earlier in the season
yeah,
during the, ballroom dancing episode
yeah,
when they were, like, on the dance floor. He was like, "Look at her. She's hot." He's like, "Somebody's gonna swoop in
yeah,
and ask her out or wanna
yeah,
be with her," and he's like, "And they're not gonna be your friend, they're not gonna ask for permission.
yeah,
They're gonna be like,
he
they're
said
gonna be
it
like, 'Who the fuck are you?' And they're gonna do what they wanna do."
he said it to him when he confronted him. He was
Yeah.
like, you just left that beautiful girl just standing there. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like,
Mhm.
there was eventually if it wasn't gonna like, his whole argument's like, "If it's not me, it's literally someone else." And at the same time, it's like, I just don't think, like, Dawson understands that they were not together. He actively did not want to be together in
Right.
the beginning of this season. There is literal, like, dialogue of him saying as much, telling her to her face. And then he installed his best friend to look after her, which I don't understand why she needed looking after.
I feel like
She's
that's a direct quote. I feel like he said, "You installed me to, like, look after her,"
yeah,
or whatever.
like seriously, to
Yeah.
look after her. And then you're like, again, shocked that they could potentially fall in love because to him that reality was never could have ever existed. Only because Pacey knew that Dawson will is always looked at Joey as endgame. But that's not fair to Joey. Like, just because Dawson always thought of Joey as endgame never meant that he never point blank said that to her.
Yeah.
If anything, he's been pushing her away and or just slowly reeling her back in because he keeps seeing her like doing other things with other people. That's what makes him so awful. That's why for all those stands of the Joey Dawson are wrong.
And that's why I kinda feel like what most of the angst and anxiety is, like, rooted in is that Dawson's not gonna talk to me ever again if I don't choose him.
Right, and he was like a support system, and of course she's super triggered by any part of her support system like not being there anymore. Like,
Right.
her dad was in prison, her mom died of cancer. Like, and her sister has her own family, which makes her almost impossible to actually support her other than like be her
I
guardian.
mean, she even felt the same way about Pacey, like,
Right.
when she
That's
found
also
out that Dawson asked him to hang out with her, she was like, "Oh, you were just doing this because you were asked to? Like, was
right,
anything real?" Like, because she trusted him and
right.
she felt like
And
they had something real.
right, and I think that has something to do with the fact that she's not willing to like fully commit to a friendship, full throated friendship with Dawson, or her problem is because she doesn't want to lose Pace either, because he's also been a support system for her. She's like a new elite, established one.
Right.
And it's kind of like, again, it's rude for Dawson to ask her to like basically like if you're friends with me, you're not friends with him. That's basically what he says. And again, with not such explicit terms.
Right.
You know? Keep saying things in these, like, weird metaphors or, like, "I always gonna love you," and then, like, freaks out at her afterwards because she didn't understand explicitly what he was talking about, that everything has, like, a separate meaning. It's like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Um,
Dawson sucks.
that was pretty much it for the episode. There was a little tidbit. Will was still around. I'm like, Will, what are you doing here?
Right.
But this, I think, was his last episode because he got a scholarship to the school that I
Yeah.
think he ends up with on the spinoff.
Good for him.
Young Americans.
Yes.
So, bye, Will.
I know. Oh,
But he did before he left encourage Pacey not to give up.
yeah.
So,
And then also he talked to Andy. He had a little tete-a-tete with Andy too.
mhm.
And Andy was again another one where I'm just like, girl, who are you? Like, you of all people should not be talking about whatever Pacey did or did not do because you're getting not together. He owes you nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't
There
think
was
so.
something, I don't remember if it was this episode or the next one.
Yeah.
It may have been the prom episode.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about it in that.
Yeah.
And Dawson's parents are getting closer. They're getting a little romantical.
Oh god, very romantical. If anything, like Mitch is kind of just like really eager. He like just wants to go to like the next level. Like he wants to know what's going on.
Well, that's in the next episode.
Oh, damn. I'm trying to
But
remember, like, because I know. Oh no, it is the end of this episode. They hook up. They finally kiss.
they
'Cause I
kissed,
thought
yeah.
yeah, I
I
thought
was trying to remember. I'm like, am I remembering the dancing from the wedding?
that's what I'm saying.
You
When you
know?
watch them back to back, you
Yeah.
kind of merge them as one mega episode.
Yeah, but I was like merging like last week's, I think, where they
Yeah,
have a friend whose husband died, so they watched their wedding video and then they
yeah,
danced, and I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, like, I thought when they were dancing, that was basically again, like, with these scenes, sometimes it's like they're never super explicit about where the couples end up at the end. Like,
right.
obviously something happened, and so
Especially adults who we don't see that much to begin with.
right. So I thought since they're dancing together, that kind of means like they are back. Nope, it needed to be sealed.
um so yeah, that's pretty much it for that episode. Episode 22
Ah!
is titled The Anti-Prom. So I will pull up the promo and we'll see what this is about.
On an all-new Dawson's Creek,
Tell her that you love her. Because if you don't, you will regret it.
friendships struggle to survive.
I'm trying to get things back to the way they were.
You can't go back to the way they were, Joey. Don't you get it?
An all-new Dawson's Creek.
That like gave you nothing, like literally nothing.
That
So
just
much
reminded
happened
me
in
how
this
angry I
episode.
am at Dawson.
There's so much that happens in this episode. That was like nothing. That
Right.
was mere crumbs, like one crumb, if that.
So the episode opens with Dawson and Joey, I think outside the house, and
Yep.
Gail is leaving, and they see Mitch and Gail making out.
That again, like, okay,
And
I guess
Dawson's like malfunctioning.
yeah, like, so here's the thing, like, now I'm kind of like, come on, guys, you're playing with this boy now. Like, you can't be mad at him now if he doesn't understand what the hell's happening anymore. Because truly, he
Yeah.
doesn't.
But I don't think they do either. And
No,
this
no,
is the
no.
episode that Mitch basically wants Gail to define the relationship. He
Yeah,
literally says define the relationship. I was like, that was a saying back then.
yeah, yeah. It was also funny because, like, when they were coming, like, of course, Joey witnesses it, and she's like, "Well, yeah, I gotta go."
Yeah.
Leaves, promptly leaves, and then he comes inside, and when you see them back of Mitch, like you just see the tag of his shirt, and you're like, his shirt's off inside out.
Was it? I didn't notice
It
that.
was. His shirt was on inside out because I was like, that's a funny back of a shirt. Like you
Oh
don't
wow,
really.
so they're sleeping together. I thought they were just making out.
No, no, no. Apparently, they did the hippity dippity,
I mean,
and
they were married, they have a kid, who cares?
yeah, no, and whatever. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of like you, like, just when you think like they're in some place and they're in another. Like, and of course, like Mitch is always like, I know where we're at. We're good. We're fine. I've dated her for 20 years. I know. And then it's like next scene, he's like, so what's this relationship? Like, oh, I thought you knew Mitch.
He's like, I was with your mother for so long that I know like how she thinks. So like,
Yeah,
she
exactly.
doesn't have to say everything because I know.
Yeah. And then, hey, Gail, Hey, girl, can you talk about the relationship for me, please? I'd just like to know.
So it's prom,
It is.
and the theme is couples, which I thought was a stupid theme.
It is.
Um, and they have to announce who they are taking to the dance.
This is a stretch. The writers went hard for this theme just for this
Just for
setup.
Jack, right?
Just for the setup. They are like, we need a setup to get Jack to have some sort of kerfuffle. And
So
how do we do that?
apparently, the girl that's running the prom, selling tickets, is super religious. And
Ugh.
when Jack says that he's taking a guy to the prom, Ethan, you know how much I love Ethan. Uh, she like refuses to sell him a ticket. I'm like, you fucking.
Of course she does. Like the
I would
minute,
have. I
yeah.
would have like sicked one of my girls on her to fight her.
Oh, did you also notice that like the first people that are there helping Jack out is the girlies? The girlies are there for their gay best friends every single day. Joey, and as soon as he comes around and tells Joey and Andy that like, you know, he wasn't gonna get to be able to go to prom because she wouldn't sell him a ticket because
Oh,
yeah, like the next scene is like Joey and Andy standing there. We're sitting right next to her going like, we're taking care of it. We're gonna go to do this. I was like, that's right, my girls sticking up for the gays. That's right. Forever and always. Solidarity.
so the group decides they're gonna have an anti-prom
Yeah.
hosted at Leary's Fresh Fish,
Mhm.
and that the
Hello? What happened?
I don't know.
Dawson fans are so upset about what
He
I
hacked
said.
the system.
They're hacking the internet. They're hacking our recording because they're like, shut her. They must silence her. No one will ever talk smack upon our Joey and Dawson stands.
So they decide that they're gonna host it at Leary's Fresh Fish, and that the sales of the tickets will offset the price of them closing the restaurant for the night from the public.
Yeah,
I was like, that's a good idea.
it is.
Um, Mitch pretty much tells Gail, like, I'm not into like a hookup thing or like because this feels comfortable. He's like, you need to tell me what you want out of this and what this is. Um, he said he had a line where he said he didn't want to make the same mistakes. And I'm like, you didn't make the mistakes though. She cheated because she was bored.
Well, I guess he doesn't want to be boring, quote
Yeah,
unquote,
I know.
right? So I just his line though was really amazing because he's like, I'm tired of defining the relationship. I want you to define the relationship for once because I guess throughout their 20 years together, like she kept putting the onus onto him to like
Mhm.
make it clear on like what they're doing, where they're going. And he's like, you
Yeah.
need to
That's what
participate.
made me think about the fact that she cheated because I'm like, right. He
Yeah.
probably wants to feel like she wants this.
Yeah. Like he wants her to declare how
Yeah,
much she wants it.
right.
And I get that. Like there's nothing more affirming than when your loved one says it out loud, you
Right.
know?
Pacey's sad. He's like studying with Andy, and Andy's like, are you okay? And he's like flip-flopping on the whole prom thing, but he ends up eventually asking Andy,
Yeah. Well,
who was initially said that she had offers on the table, but then
right.
asked her.
It was a crazy set of scenes because it goes like into her studying. He comes in and I guess she's at his house and then like it's
It looked like Doug's living room.
yeah.
It looked like the couch and like the coffee table that he
Right,
was
so
like use a
she's
coaster.
there, so they're studying together,
Yeah,
and he comes in, like, as if he's disturbing her, like, "Hello, how are you studying? Like, are you having a
yeah.
good time?" Like a scared cat or something.
And she's like, do you want me to leave? Like,
You're like, "You want me to go?" Like, I get that, and then, like, lies about having offers to the prom, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm just not feeling very good," and then cut to the next scene, she just goes, "Oh, God, I was waiting for Pacey to ask me to prom." And it's like, you told him that you had other offers and that like he literally asked you, "Do you want me to ask you to prom?" And she's like, "No." Like it's come on, girl. Are you serious? This is crazy.
um, Grams is like hemming Henry's suit for the prom
Yeah.
in Jen's bedroom. And her tea is done, so she goes to like take care of the teapot. And Jen's like, all right, it's time to have the pre-prom sex talk or whatever. And she's basically like, that's not gonna happen. I just want to like reiterate this like
I
before. There's no expectation.
Oh, see, this is another conversation where I'm just like, "Girl, why?" Like, it's not necessary, and the way he reacted was like, "Pre-prom sex talk?" Mhm. Like, a
And he
little
was fine
baby
with it. He's like, "That's cool." He's like, "But, like, eventually, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, whatever."
yeah.
And she doesn't even say anything. She just kisses him. I'm like, "Okay, that's an
Oh,
answer."
yeah, yeah. It's just kind of like I don't know, like, it felt a little too much even for Jen, like, kinda just like, was this really necessary? It felt like it was set again, it's like a setup. Maybe this is not so great writing for Jen, again,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we keep having these, like, weird manufactured dramas where we're like, why would this come up? I don't feel like anyone naturally would do something like this, um, unless they were
Dawson
already anxious.
Dawson asks Joey. He says just as friends,
They had
and
a pact.
to support Jack because they had a pact
Mhm.
years ago when they were young that if they didn't have dates that they would go together before they were in love, so to speak.
Yeah,
And here they are, not with anybody, so they should go to prom together.
yeah.
Um, and she initially smiles reluctantly and like is like, yeah, we did like kind of like, oh yeah, we did have that pact. But then she's almost like has buyer's remorse because then I feel like she's like, are you sure you're not trying to get back with me?
Right. Well, because he is. Like, this
Yeah.
is all like every single scene that you see with Dawson and Joey, you can feel Dawson's desperation. Like, he is desperate to be the perfect person for Joey in every moment. Like, he's very you can feel he's very measured and curated in everything he's saying.
I
It's
did love
oh,
when they were selling the tickets for the anti-prom next to the tickets for the actual prom, and they were like going back and forth with whatever her name was.
yep. I love that
She's like,
too.
you're going to hell. How you feel like that? And they're like, okay.
Well, they're like, "That's it? That's it? That's all you got? That's the best you can come up with?" Like, geez. And yeah, it was awesome. I mean, like,
She was just like,
there was a lot of great lines. I mean, like, even Jack said, it's just like, "It's no anti-prom without a 2 gay guys," and I was like and, like, the only reason why Dawson even brought it up is because Joey was going to boycott the prom on Jack's behalf, and he wanted to go to prom with her. So he's like, "Well, wait a minute. Why don't
yeah,
we do a different prom?
right.
Like an anti-prom, right? And you go with me, right, Joey? Because he has
So
like
yeah.
these plans. Like everything about it is pre-planned, premeditated, all of it.
So he picks her up for the dance and he gives Joey his mom's diamond earrings,
Mm.
which she's like afraid to wear. She's like, what if I lose them?
Oh
um, but so we'll put a pin in that for later.
yeah.
Um, Ethan.
Ah!
So we find out Mr. Big Talker is full of shit because he never asked the guy out himself. This Brad guy that he keeps bringing up, I guess that's his ex-boyfriend.
Mhm.
And
His one
I
boyfriend.
yeah, I had problems with that because I'm just like, if I were Jack, I'd be like, could we not talk about your ex-boyfriend all the time? Like that, I don't want
Yeah.
to.
I get like there was so many times I kept thinking about you through a lot of these scenes.
Like when he was like, me and Brad, I was like, oh, stop talking about Brad.
Also, it was pretty shocking because just like Jack said, like he was been like Mr. Miyagiing him
Yeah,
through this, and
saying you have to be the one to do this, you have to be the one to do that. Meanwhile, you're
yeah,
a punk ass because you've never done any of that yourself.
exactly. Did you like how Jack just kind of like trimmed him down a little bit?
Yeah, loved
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jack had so many good one-uppers like on him, like oh Mr. Wise, gay sage, and I was like,
I did want them to dance together for Jack's sake, not for Ethan.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Yeah, so Jack didn't even get to dance at the prom that was for him.
No, he didn't, and that's so sad because
And
it's just
then
oh, that's sad. Yeah,
all of our couples basically had fights on the dance floor.
he did. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it was really hot watching Joey make eyes at Pacey over Dawson's
Oh,
shoulder.
okay. Can we talk about the cuteness of it all? Like, she
Yeah.
went up to him and was like, "Hey, Pacey, there's been something I wanted to ask you all night, and, like, you wanna dance?"
Oh.
And then they're like, "Oh, we're doing pretty good," and she's like, "It must be all those dance lessons," and I'm like, "Oh, because they have."
Yeah, like the whole that's what I'm saying, they got the best chemistry. Her and Dawson don't have chemistry. Like they are just kind of like meh. Like there ain't nothing there. Like it's so but not like what's there with Pacey and Joey, man. They are just on fire. Like and
They're
the way
just like they're
especially they're
so
all like,
close and they're whispering
ah!
to each other, and you see Andy just breaking down. Poor Andy, her makeup looked really good.
Her hair looked crazy.
I
Can we
kept
talk
trying to
about
see,
Andy's hair?
did she have, like, butterfly clips in her hair? Like, it
Yes.
looked like
Okay. So when I saw Andy, okay, can we just talk about her hair for like a hot second? Just sidebar Andy's hair.
Uh-huh.
Andy's hair for prom was like from the front,
It
she
looked crimped.
obviously I don't know because it's like she had these like baby hairs or like they had like a bump, like when when you pull your hair. I don't know if you know this, but if you pull your hair back and you push it forward, you have like this little like bump,
Uh-huh,
like of hair.
uh-huh.
And then it looks like they twisted like they did back in the 2000s. Oh god. They would twist and then put the butterfly clips, and she had
Yeah,
as a crown, like around, and then her hair was like pulled
in a
back like this.
ponytail almost, like, in the
Like
back.
the tiniest littlest ponytail because she has short, very straight hair.
Yeah.
And when I saw her, she jump scared me. I was like,
Really?
"Oh!" I legitimately thought when they took a shot to her that she cut her hair, like, super short for prom, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What did they do to this poor actress's hair?" Like, oh my god, I was losing it, and, like, she had that quintessential, like, early 2000s super light eyeshadow, like,
Right.
the very pencil thin
Yeah.
eyebrows, and just, like, glitter and butterflies out the wazoo. Um, oh gosh,
Yeah.
jump scare is all I'm gonna say was
So
that.
we see her watching them dance and kinda breaking down, and I'm
Oh,
over this, like, I'm just over it. Like, you were moving on, you were gonna date Will, like, you were gonna date Joey's boss
right,
at one point,
right,
like.
right. I mean, like, the latter part of the episode kinda leads you to believe that maybe it's not so much her upset about losing Pacey, it's more her understanding what's actually going on. Like,
Mhm,
because I think what everybody seems to be under the misunderstanding is that Pacey's just kind of trying to hit it and quit it with Joey.
right,
And that is not the case.
right.
That has not been the case. And that's what makes me even more mad about the whole thing. Because it's like you guys are just don't have any faith in Pacey at all to be a good person. And he is the best among all of you.
Andy should know that best out of
Yeah,
all of them.
exactly. So, like, I think she made the connection, like, as she's watching this happen, because of the way they were with each other, the way he was touching her face and her body and, like, everything, and the way she was
Well,
touching
he
him.
points out the earrings, he's like, "They're not you," and she's like, "Why?" And he's like,
Oh my
"Well," and
god.
he's like, "No," he's like, "They're gaudy." And then
Oh,
he points out her bracelet, and she's like, "Oh, it's my mom's," and he's like, "I know," and she's like, "How do you know?" And he's like, "'Cause a few months ago," he's like, "I was being annoying and ragging on you, and you were like, 'Pacey, leave me alone. I just found my mom's bracelet.'" And she's like, "You remember that?" And he's like, "I remember everything." I was like, "Oh."
and then when he whispered it to her,
Yes.
like, you could say that in the most creepy way, but this was the sexiest way anybody could ever say that phrase to anyone, especially in this context. Like, it's so, just because it's like it just proves how much he legitimately cares about her,
Mhm.
and
And it's like the
oh,
minute she sees that Dawson sees them dancing and they lock eyes, it's like a dead stop. And
yeah,
Pacey doesn't even have to turn around. He just is like,
already knows exactly,
Dawson's
but it
watching us.
right, and it breaks my heart every single time this happens. Pacey is in a place where he could have some level of happiness, true happiness, and it gets ruined, ripped
Mhm.
away from his hands. Like for him to not be a villain already is kind of wild. Like, he's a villain in the making. Like, everything that continuously happens in his life is negative.
Yeah.
His dad beats on him or argues with him or verbally, at least verbally abuses him,
Mhm.
and he's an alcoholic. Like, his brother and him are, I think they're getting closer, which I am happy for. He needs an adult in his life that he can trust. But now his friend has forsaken him because of his feelings for his other friend, like, unjustly. And then all the other friends basically shamed him and shunned him for the last, like, 2 weeks or whatever. And it's just so messed up. And he's having, like, one nice moment with Joey, and Joey's obviously reciprocating. Like, she
She
loves.
initiated. She asked him to dance.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets ripped right out of his hands because Dawson's having a goddamn temper tantrum over it.
Before we get into Dawson's temper tantrum, I did enjoy the scene with Joey and Jack outside when they just needed,
Yeah.
like, a
Oh,
minute, and then they, like, held hands.
yeah.
It's
I was like,
cute.
"Oh, yeah, that's right. They were a couple at one point, and that was really cute." But
Yeah.
now it's like, "Oh, I love it." Yeah.
So yeah, so Joey Dawson, like, storms out, so she goes running after him, which we saw in the promo.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You said that this wasn't about us getting back together, like, that we were friends." And he's like, "Clearly that's not what I meant." Like, and that was, like, the theme of this whole episode. Nobody was saying what they meant.
Right.
Like, Andy said she had people going to ask her to the prom, so she didn't want Pacey, but she really wanted Pacey to ask her to the prom. Jen said she didn't want to have sex, and then she's mad at Henry because
He doesn't wanna have
her
sex.
head thought maybe they would have sex.
Well, yeah, she hasn't been good because he's going to football camp and didn't
Right,
bother
that
to
was
tell her, which
messing
I
her up.
totally get being mad about. But at the
Yeah,
same time, it's like, well, we're definitely not having sex now. It's like, well, that was never why are you using that as ammo? Like, that's kind of what I mean, like, about, like, stuff where I think Jen's being a little sensitive.
yeah,
Like, you don't get to use that when you told him explicitly, no means no. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Ugh.
And then Dawson being like, basically admitting this was all set up just for them to have a romantic night together,
Right.
and, like, remind her of what they had. And then he storms off,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Wow, Dick." I was like, "Way to leave your date stranded at the restaurant."
Yeah. The whole thing felt like his whole blow up was just so much like a little kid stomping their feet, going this,
Yeah.
very upset
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you're not doing the thing I wanted you to. You're supposed to agree with what I'm doing. Like, it
Yeah.
was like that's all it was. Like, it's even how James Vanderbeek played it. He
Yeah.
literally stuck his arms down like, this is not fair. And it's like, Dawson, hate to break it to you, but life ain't
It's my show.
yeah, this is my show. It's my namesake. It says Dawson's Creek. This isn't Pacey's Creek or Joey's Creek. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, again, like, it does not endear me to him, and I don't connect with his feelings because, again, they feel like they're all centralized on him and his experience alone. If he loved Joey as much as he does, then he would understand that Joey has feelings for Pacey and then back off. Let them do whatever they're gonna do. And if they are truly fated to be together, if they are endgame, true endgame, be there when they break up.
Right.
And all again, like, it's always about, like, that what makes Pacey so alluring and amazing is because he cares about her. His whole it's the same way he was with Andy. That's also his flaw, is he
Well,
always
even
makes
even
everything about them,
the
not him.
wall scene in the previous episode when he said
Yeah,
he'll extend the lease or whatever,
yeah,
he flat out said, he's like, "This isn't an ultimatum." He's like,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
There's no strings. He's like,
yeah,
"I'm doing this because I care about you." But at the same time, people say that stuff all the time. Like,
yeah.
I feel like there's always strings connected to stuff, even if they're
And
unintentional or unconscious strings,
and
you
you
know?
can see how Joey could be confused because Dawson's saying things
Well,
and then not meaning what he's saying. So
right, well, Dawson's attaching strings without telling her there's strings
right.
attached,
And then
and,
getting
like,
mad that when she doesn't play into his strings.
yeah, well, it's kinda or like, that to me, what's crazy is that, like, it's the same kinda conversation he had with her in the beginning of the season. He basically was like, I'm not ready for this to be a thing. When she was like ready to get like, I'm sorry, let's get back together. Da, da, da. And he's just kind of like, no, we need time apart. Like, I need you to respect that I need time apart, all this stuff. And like, I need you to know that already. So how could you not know that already? Kind of thing. And it's just like, it's because you've been talking to her, friendly with her, exactly the type of things he accuses her of when he's like, you can't be coming into my room, watching movies through my window and not anticipate this to be the outcome. And it's like, but it's what you asked her to do.
Right.
Like, he's making everyone else responsible for his own feelings, and that's kind of like so immature. But again, they're teenagers, right? I mean, like, this is exactly how teenagers are. They're so self-centered, like, and not so introspective, more just kind of like me, I. It's just, it's crazy.
So Ethan must have dipped on the prom and like walked
Yeah,
himself to the train station or
yeah.
bus station.
Jack took him
And
out.
Jack
He was like, snip, snip, snip.
Jack runs to like stop him, and he kind of like reverts back to the whole like I love that Jack actually called him all-knowing elder gay, because remember that I was like I know everything, you're just a baby guy.
Wise gay sage, can you tell me what kind of soda? The best line was, oh, so wise gay sage, will you tell me, is it Coke, Pepsi, or Sprite that will be helpful for my sexual awakening or something like that, or a sexual society or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's kind of like he needed to be told because it's really unfair. Like, you held Jack to this insane standard that you didn't even live up to.
But then it's like he reverted back to that
Yeah.
persona, and it
Yeah.
was like, here we are alone. You never even kissed a guy. He's like, "Yeah, I bet you wouldn't do it." And Jack is almost like, I'll do it. Like, I'll do it.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I didn't really appreciate that. Like, I was kind of rooting for Jack to kiss him because it is like a hurdle for him.
I couldn't remember. I was like, oh, is this it? Like,
Yeah. So I thought for like a second, I was like, oh my God, this could be the kiss that are like the famous kiss. But
I like
it's
the little line and jab that they had. They said, the kiss, with here's your chance to have the kiss before it like cuts away to commercial or whatever.
mhm,
Because they did that on Melrose Place. There was a gay character, and like they either cut away to commercial or they just cut away from the scene, and
yeah,
you just kind of saw them kind of like,
lean in, like,
yeah, and that was it.
yeah, and that,
Yeah.
uh,
Meanwhile, it was actually filmed, and that because the actor was like fully in, like wanted to do it, and they never aired it. They chickened
yeah,
out.
ugh, ugh,
So that it felt like a jab to that.
yeah, yeah. I was just kind of a situation where I'm like, it sucks that it didn't happen, but I'm also glad that it didn't happen because like it felt to one side lopsided, like the
Yeah.
power dynamic was off.
It's felt like that the whole time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I know I've said that I was gonna try to be open-minded, and it hasn't sounded like I've been open-minded, but, like, it just that's how it
No,
is.
I think you had the right beat on this guy. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe it's because the actor picks these types of roles, but, it's just he wasn't what we wanted for Jack. Like, it
Because, like,
felt
also, why are you hanging out with this guy if you know that he likes you and you don't feel the same?
yeah. Well,
Or
I
do
think that's
you, but you're dealing with your own shit and you don't know how to, like, work that out yourself?
well, that's the whole thing. It feels very hypocritical because he does tell him, he's like, "Hey, I do really like you." And he's
Mhm.
like, "Well, then why can't, like," he's like, "'Cause I don't think you're ready to actually," like, he has to be able to feel okay with engaging in the relationship. Like, he can't, for him, it's hard enough to say that it would probably be a hurdle on its own. Like, he can't move that slow, I guess is kind of what the guy Ethan was trying to get at.
I
Like,
guess.
yeah,
I was
and
gonna before you said that, I was gonna say, well, who is he to decide if Jack's ready or not? Like,
that's what I mean. So it's more like but the thing is like he set up the scenario for them to kind of fall in love because again the power dynamic was weird and like Jack would have fallen in love with him because he was his first and I think Ethan struggled with the fact that being the case. maybe not
It's like a gay
necessarily.
Jen situation. Like he's the Jen.
Yes,
And Jack's the
exactly.
Henry.
Like I'm telling you, like not everybody's there to be want to be a mentor in a romantic relationship. Some people
Yeah.
do, and like those can be treacherous scenarios, especially for like a younger to older like situation, because the person who's older or has more power, like financially or whatever, or immaturity, they can influence the younger into things that may not would have consented to otherwise. So like it's
I get
very,
that.
yeah, it's very common. So it's
I
kind
was
of,
in a similar situation, not that young. I
yeah,
was I was in my 30s,
yeah,
but he was like 26. And I
right,
was kind of like, I don't know about this. Like,
right. So
yeah,
like,
we are adults, but like we're still kind of in
yeah,
different
yeah, and
places
it
in
could
our
be
lives.
totally unconscious, you
And
know.
he came from a religious family, and he had no experience, and we went
Yeah.
out once, and I was just like, I was kind of like, I don't know about this.
Mhm.
Second time we were hanging out, and he was like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to meet my family," and I was like, "What?"
That's what I mean. Like things can go pretty like when someone's innocent like that, like where they're not 100% sure, like they do need someone to guide them because they
Mhm.
should be guided with someone who has good intention. It just sucks because the people who tend to have good intention
Yeah,
will probably date them because of that factor, because they're so young.
that's
And
how I ended it though. I was like, "Listen," I was like, "I think we're in two different places in our lives,"
yeah,
because I wasn't ready. I wasn't about to
this
like
is too
give.
fast,
Yeah,
darling.
but I wasn't
Me
like
too.
I've been out since I was 19, so, like, I wasn't looking to kinda, like, regress in
Yeah,
as far as, like, my who I am and comfortability and have to, like,
yeah,
watch what I do or how I act.
yeah.
I wanted to be with somebody that's fully comfortable with themselves, and
Right.
so I was like, I was like, "I think you need to, like, see what else is out there."
Right, and I think, like, if in this situation, the same with Jack. It's kind of a thing where it's kinda like, you should probably find someone that's in the same not in the same
Headspace.
exact headspace that you guys can grow together and
Mhm.
then figure out what happens after that,
Yeah,
or, like, someone that is at least of the same age group. Because I think Ethan was just
yeah.
a little older than he is and stuff like that, so, again, like,
Because we
sometimes
have to remember, Jack, they're juniors in high school,
that's what I mean, like,
and this guy is in
16
college.
yeah, like 16 versus, like, in your 20s or even in your latter like, 19, there's a huge gap there. Like, a lot of stuff happens to you between your junior year of high school to, like, a sophomore year of college. So much growing happens. Your frontal lobe grows even more to become more of a well-rounded human being. Um,
I actually just thought about Jack's dad. I'm like, "Huh." About when he spent the night or spent the weekend at the house and they all went out to dinner, and I'm like, "Never mind that a guy was staying at the house. Why wasn't Jack's dad upset that this was an adult trying to date
yeah,
his teenage son?"
of course.
Like
I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, it's kinda crazy. It's the same thing with Joey going to the college to go talk to that guy. It's like,
Yeah, and Bessie
he's
being okay that they're, like, a couple.
right, they're 16, like, there's in some way, they're somewhere between 3 and 5 years older, and that is a huge jump at
Yeah,
that time.
yeah,
Like, again, if my dad found out that I was dating someone that was 5 years older than me at the ti when I was 6, there would be no other the person would not exist anymore.
right.
Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, "Nah," 'cause again, the power dynamic is different.
Yeah,
When you put that type of like, that's why it's like, not everybody's all opposites are can be compatible. They can with work, but, like, it has to be the right thing, and age can be a factor, but, like, it also depends on, like, maturity level and financial status. Because,
yeah,
like, if one particular person is very young, another particular person is very old, at least if the young person has their own financial independence from said older person, maybe it's not that big of a deal.
yeah.
But, like, most of the time, it gets into a situation of, like, this person's basically financing this other person, like a sugar baby daddy situation, like, with extra added stuff.
So, Jen goes home, Henry, like, rushes after her, walks her home, and she ends things with him,
Mhm.
and he's like, "I can't keep doing this." He's like, "I can't like keep making up and breaking up." He's like, after this, he's like, "There's not gonna be any grand gestures." He's like, "There's not gonna be any signs or anything like that."
And I
And
get
she's just
that,
basically like, "Goodbye," and she like slams the door in his
yeah.
face.
I kinda am like, "Oh, yeah,"
That
you
felt
know?
like a growth moment for Henry. to be like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, because it's true. I mean, like, I feel like they believe me, Henry did all the things wrong in this relationship.
Mhm.
I don't think he was in the right in any way, but I would be tired too. Because also Jen's learning at the
Yeah.
same time. Like, he's holding her to an insane pedestal that she's never gonna live up to. So that's where I think a lot of it is coming as well. Like,
And she's like this ball of anxiety because she's thinking that she needs to live up to that
yeah.
pedestal.
Oh, yeah. Well, that, like, be worthy of love
Yeah.
like, and the only way to get this love is to live up to said thought of
Yeah.
me, and she's never going to be able to do it,
Uh-huh.
and then on top of it, like, he's going to be growing, like, that's why her whole argument in the beginning was sound, like, he's not gonna be the same person that he is now to, like, a year from now or the next year from now, he's gonna be different. He's forming his personality as we speak. Like, it's not
His birthday was like a couple of episodes ago. He literally just turned 15. He's been
right.
14 the whole season.
That's what I mean. Like, think about yourself from 14,
Yeah,
you as 14, then you as, like, 7.
yeah,
2 different people, man.
right.
They don't like, they're not the same. And all that change happens throughout that time. That's why relationships are so short in, like, high school and stuff. It's because, like, you're no longer that person,
Yeah.
and you no longer get along because you wanna do different things.
Um, so Andy and Pacey have a discussion, and this is basically where she tells him that he's worthy of love, and if he does love Joey, that he needs to fight for her.
Yeah.
Um, I had a little issue with some of one thing she said
Mhm.
because I feel like we're forgetting that the reason that they broke up is because Andy cheated on him. They were together and she cheated on him.
Right, right.
I feel like they're trying to whitewash that and say that he hurt her by breaking up with her and not like give her the responsibility for it.
Yeah. I mean, she said it to Will in the previous episodes, like, when I did what I did, Pacey offered me no forgiveness and, like,
Because you
earth-shattering
cheated
art.
on him. You're
Right,
not together
exactly.
now. He's moved on to another girl.
Exactly. I don't know where Andy gets the audacity, but, girl, okay. Like, that's kinda why, like, her feelings and, like, I put her in the same bucket as Dawson. Like, I have no pity for her. I don't feel bad for her, and that's really upsetting to me because Andy was, like, my number 1 girl, and they were my
Thanksgiving when
shit.
they were setting up and Jack's like, "You hurt my sister." She cheated on him.
Yeah, like,
She
she
shot the
slept with
first bullet. Like
she was gone and slept with the person that she, like, roomed with or whatever in the hospital, like, that's what happened, and
Yeah,
she irreparably broke their trust. What was he supposed to do? Stay with her and just 'cause, she loves him? So what? She's supposed to love him then too. Like,
I don't know, like, as far as, like, egregious things, infidelity is, like, a deal breaker for me.
right, and well,
Um,
and not only that.
I used to joke, "You could swing at me, I'll swing back," but infidelity, like
Yeah,
like
I mean, like, not only that, like, in the episode when they were at the aunt's house, she straight up tells Pacey while he's, like, literally going through all this bullshit with Joey, like, "I want you to be happy. We inevitably will move on." I was under the impression after that conversation, Andy was already moving on, and then the whole regression to, like, being back in love with Pacey felt very forced, and then
it
again,
just
then
felt
Kate
like
manufactured drama to give
yeah,
Pacey, like, a burning a candle at both ends maybe
right,
such scenario, but it's like,
yeah, and it all came out of nowhere with that The Longest Day episode where everything was, like, really repetitive, like,
yeah,
that's where I feel like it was rooted in because, like you said, she was, like, moving on with Will.
literally the episode prior, she's like, "I want you to be happy, Pacey," and it's like, I wanna move on, and I want you to move on, like, that's all it was, and I was like, "Okay, great, they're finally happy in a good place that where they can be, we can rebuild Andy as a better person, blah, blah, blah," and then literally the next episode, for some reason, she's pining over Pacey again just to give Joey guilt about
Right.
being in love with Pacey too. Like, it's kind of just ridiculous. And then this whole thing was like, again, playing games with about what she wants or what she doesn't want. And then literally sees Pacey being tortured, emotionally tortured, during that dance, like, I guess, woke her up to the idea like, oh, he did move on,
Yeah.
and this is his only chance, and he deserves this. Which that's what makes her better than Dawson. That she came to the realization that he has feelings and is allowed to have them, and then tells him to go for those feelings, which is even better. Like even in detriment of her own. Like she's like, no, you should go after her, fight for her, tell her that you love her. She needs to know this, and if she doesn't, then like you can't, you know.
Um, so we end the episode with Joey returning the earrings to Dawson. And basically she says, I'm gonna tell you what I told Pacey, don't make me choose. Like, because I just can't, like right now, I can't think about that. Like I just can't do it. And then we see Gail running across the lawn. And she like barges into the house. She just needs to talk to Mitch right now.
Yeah.
And she like sits him down, she gets on her knees and she proposes without proposing.
Yeah. She's like, so
um
is that a yes? And he's like, you didn't ask me a question. I was
and
like,
she's and she's like, you know the question. And it's like, okay, we're doing that thing where we don't
you
say
know that.
things.
Yeah, and then you know the answer. That was his response. I was like,
And Joey and Dawson walking on that, and
that's
God
it.
knows what's going through Dawson's mind.
I don't know. That whole interaction with Joey, like I don't like when she's like, I'm not gonna lie, when you kissed me, I felt something. And it's like, girl, really? Really? Was it nothing? Like boring, like poo-poo? Because what you just had with Pacey literally minutes prior was way hot. Like, there's no way.
Way hot.
There's
Compared to
no
what
way.
you felt then and see,
That's
like,
what I
which
mean.
one did you like?
Were you feeling residual hotness from when you were dancing with Pacey? Because that's gotta be it. There's no way. The way he kissed her was just kind of like, bleh. Like, boy, nah, I cannot. And then again, he's like, I'll wait for you. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Wait for her for what?
Till you see her talking to Pacey and then you have a
Yeah,
meltdown again.
yeah. And have a full blown fucking temper tantrum because how dare she talk to Pacey? Like, and again, like, what happens if she chooses one over the other at one point, or chooses someone completely, like a third person that has nothing to do with either one of you? What happens then?
It
Like,
reminded me when she said, "Don't make me choose" or whatever
mhm,
to Dawson. On 90210, there's a character that was in a love triangle,
mhm.
and there's a famous line for that fandom where she says, "I choose me,"
Yeah,
and she doesn't
yeah,
choose either one of them.
yeah,
And one of them leaves the show, and she ends up with both of them at one point, like,
yeah. Well,
because
yeah, what I anticipate happening, or like, see, this is the whole thing, and what I'm kind of hoping and predicting for is that like they gave the fans like just enough, to hold them over. And then what could happen is exactly what I want to happen. The slow, inevitable burn where if Joey and Pacey are relatively in proximity to each other for a long period of time, they're gonna hook up again. Can't
Mhm.
deny what they have. New physical. Her and
Well, I'm
Dawson.
glad you're feeling it because you had made a comment a few episodes back that you felt like Joey and Pacey had brother-sister chemistry.
While they were playing it off like the boy teases girl because boy likes girl kind of
Uh-huh.
situation. And it was getting to like she was combative back, and like the back and forth was getting too much to the point where I was just like, well, I knew where the writers were going. And you don't know how someone's gonna be together until you see how they're together.
Yeah.
And like their banter has turned from like just straight up venom at each other to like now just little soft baby quippy quippies. And it's
Clippy.
kind of, yeah, it's very, very cute and very flirtatious, not so much like straight up venom, because they used to literally say some shit about each other to each other's face. Like, you know, and I like that's why I think Pacey and Joey would together is better, because she can be herself, her true self, her realist like being with him. When she's with Dawson, you could tell everything is again very manicured, very curated, very specific.
Yeah.
And like when she is more of herself around him, he like a little bit, like
Right.
each time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nah. Team Pacey every day, all day, every day.
All right, well, we have one more episode left of the season, and we're gonna do something a little special. We're gonna head on over to Patreon, and we're gonna watch it together, so I can see
Woo!
Dana's immediate reactions to everything.
Oh god. You don't know what you asked for.
So if you haven't already subscribed to our Patreon, head on over there at patreon.com/queers and soaps. Subscribe to the Primetime Diva tier, and you'll be able to watch me and Dana watch the finale. We will still do the recap for YouTube, so no worries, you won't miss out on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can find us on all the other socials at Queers and Soaps, and until next time, we'll see you on Patreon.
Woo,
Bye.
woo, 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 woo.